Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. How is everybody doing out there on this Monday, December 29th, 2025, episode number 172? Dave, how was your Christmas, brother?
Christmas was good, but I think I'm at that point where I've been to 3 or 4 indoor track meets now where the indoor cold is starting to come to me. Like you get out of all these places, whether it's I've been mostly at the bubble over there, and it's just like a germ factory. Like you just leave there feeling like I just have to take a shower. But it's what we do, and I love doing it, and it's just par for the course.
And as for me, out of nowhere, since getting home from work, my voice has progressively gotten worse and worse. So you'll see me throwing in a bunch of cough drops and trying to stay over here. Dave may be talking more than me tonight for once,
It's
but
all good, man. It's all good.
overall, we did say last week when we talked to Steve, we had that bonus episode on Tuesday that we might not be coming back. We might take a week off and come back in strong after the new year. But things change, don't they, Dave?
Yes, they do.
Because when you get the legendary Jim Lambert sending you an email, Dave, saying, hey, we have a guest that we know you've been trying to get on. She's ready and willing to come on. You don't say no to that when she wants to jump on. So let's bring her in. Without further ado, she is Paige Sheppard. She is a junior over at Union Catholic, national champion at New Balance Nationals in the mile in 2025, and multi-time New Jersey Media Champions champion, NIL New Balance athlete. What's up, Paige?
Hi, thank you for having me.
And it's funny too, because like in like the itinerary, like beforehand when we ask questions, she's like, I don't need anything big as an introduction. And here I go, just like listing off all of the accolades. This got started off well. I don't listen well, Paige. I am sorry. But we appreciate you jumping on. You've been, a fantastic runner since you've laced them up over at Union Catholic. And we've enjoyed watching your journey and the things that you've done. And I do have to say, typically, Paige, this is a portion of the show where we read off personal records that were sent to us. And this may be the first time in forever that I am incredibly grateful that we have no personal records to read.
Agreed.
Because not working well right now. So, so we're going to jump right into it. We want to get into you, talk about you. So the question we ask all of our guests, when did you get the spark to become a runner? Not necessarily when you started running, but when did it click? Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm dedicating myself to getting better at and doing.
Well, I will say that I started running when I was 5, and I had this track by my house, and my mom would take me because I just wanted to move. And so I would just run laps around the track all the time. And that was kind of just something that I did. And then I ended up joining a track team, and that was kind of my first experience running. But I would say the first time that it really clicked was when I won my first junior Olympic nationals, and I ran 800. And technically, I always say like I didn't win because I got second, but the girl got DQ'd because we did like a waterfall start and she cut in too early, and I ended up winning. And it was like I did an interview, and it's all over YouTube, and it's Paige Sheppard loves onions, and that was kind of my first experience kind of being on stage and being able to see what track was like and getting the chance to travel. And throughout my career, like in middle school, I got to go to Florida and North Carolina. I remember especially just for the Junior Olympics. So that was kind of my first chance to see what running was all about. And I feel like that kind of really sparked what everything would be for me. And for there, I ended up running the Colgate Women's Games. And I remember inviting my friends who live in New York, and family just kind of watched me race. And I just remember having so much fun.
So we have the aforementioned video with the power of the internet coming right to everyone because you said this. I absolutely have to watch this.
Oh, look at that.
There is not a shadow of a doubt that we now have to watch this. So let's see what Paige Sheppard thinks about onions. Now, how old were you here?
I was 7.
That's
This is
fantastic.
amazing. Let's see.
This is Corey from Milespit here with Paige Sheppard, 7 years old, just won the girls 8 and under 800-meter dash in 2:43.15 AU Junior Olympic Games. Congratulations, Paige. How do you feel?
Good.
Good? How do you feel you ran the race today?
Proud.
Yeah? Did you try to go any type of speed? Did you try to go fast or slow?
I try to go fast.
Okay. What do you like about the 800-meter dash or the run?
It's fun.
It's fun? How long have you been running?
3 years.
Okay. Do you think you'll continue to run after this?
Yes.
All right. All right. You're from Plainfield, New Jersey, right? What's your favorite food in New Jersey?
Onions.
Onions? Okay. That's weird. Why do you like onions? All right. What about your superhero? Who's your favorite superhero?
Supergirl.
Supergirl? Why is that? She's just cool? Okay. What about your favorite hobby? You have any favorite hobbies?
Art.
This is
What's that?
Art.
Okay. Art? What kind of art?
Drawing.
Cool. Have you drawn anything recently?
No.
No? All right, cool. Congratulations on your 800-meter national title. All right.
That was amazing.
That is adorable.
I think that was my
It
first
is-
interview. So
That was. I just think that out of all the foods in New Jersey, you like onions. Fantastic.
yeah, that's the one.
So do you still love onions? Is the love of onions still a passion for Paige
I
Sheppard?
wouldn't say that it's my favorite food, but I do still really like onions.
Do you like the movie Holes by any chance? Have you seen that movie where they eat
No,
the
but I
onions at the
have
end?
heard the book. I remember it from 7th grade.
I have to say, for a 7-year-old, you handled yourself incredibly well in that interview.
Yes.
My oldest daughter is 7, and I have no idea what she would say in an interview setting. So it's like, even from that young age, you handled yourself well. Like, that's super cool. And I will tell you one thing about podcasts: don't ever say there's a video somewhere on a podcast, because they will go find it. Just like that. We
Yeah,
will
I
go
mean,
find the
it
Paige
is,
Sheppard
at
list.
least for me, just pretty cemented into who I am. I have friends who said that they've showed people that video to make them feel better. So it's kind of just, it's the start of everything. So
Everyone has a start. I love it.
I mean, that's such a great start too. So did you ever flirt with any other sports or anything like that as you grew up, or
Um,
was it just running,
yeah,
running?
so my dad played professional soccer. So I did
Oh,
play soccer, not really on a team. It was called like the Bumblebees, I think. I did it with some of my friends. And then I did ballet, I remember. And I think I ended after one recital because I thought that it was over. And then in 4th and 5th grade, I played basketball and volleyball, and I was actually pretty good. I think I made the basketball all-star team in 5th grade, and then COVID hit, and that's kind of when I killed everything else off, and track was kind of the main thing from there on out.
well, with COVID too, it was like that was the one sport that you could kind of go do, right? You were outside,
Yeah.
and
You could run.
typically being outside as long as you were near people was okay.
Mhm.
So you could go on runs, you could
Yeah.
stay fit. And we kind of started this show at the back end when COVID was like
Right.
coming
Mhm.
to an end. And we talked to so many coaches and athletes that just remember that that time, the athletes that were the most resilient were typically your distance runners, because they could go out and do the runs, they could do the
Yeah.
workouts. Yes,
Sure.
it was solitary, but that's kind of the life of a distance runner sometimes, right? You just do
Mhm.
things
Sure.
on your own. So that's pretty cool that that kind of like, I guess, forced your decision in a way. So do you think without COVID that you would have kind of continued to go and do some other sports, and maybe we'd be on a different trajectory right now?
I think I definitely would still be running. That was kind of my main sport. I didn't play club basketball or volleyball. It was really just through school. But I did take running pretty seriously even back then. I trained pretty much, I think, all year round. And I think when I was 9, I started doing cross country. So it kind of was a 3-season kind of sport thing at that point. So I think they were kind of things that were really fun, and I loved playing them. And I wish I was still good at basketball, but I'm not anymore. But I think track definitely still would have been the end game regardless of COVID.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure coach is happy that you're not good at basketball anymore,
Yes.
so then you're not tempted to go play or even play pickup because the last thing coaches want to see, like I remember the bane of my collegiate coach's existence, P. Colezo, was the fact that I was hell bent on playing intramural soccer, and I
Yeah.
played intramural soccer, and he and dragged other runners into it, and he was not happy with me at all. But
I can
it's
see why.
understandable now. Being a grown man, like I get it. But as a kid, you're like, I played soccer. I can go play again.
Yeah.
It's like, no, no, don't go do that. But so you've obviously now been running for a long time. So what have
Yes.
been some of your favorite memories going back from when you were 5, 6, 7, all the way up until now your junior year?
I would say if I were going back, I would say winning the Colgate games my first time. The way it kind of worked was every Saturday or Sunday, depending on the year, I would go and I would run the 400 and the 800. And it was kind of just something that I did. It was kind of just like a weekend experience. And you get points each time you ran. And then at the end of the season, you would choose an event. I choose the 8. And then basically win, like whoever had the most points at the end of the season. And I have these ginormous trophies in my basement from winning, and I won 2 years, and then I got third 1 year. And I just remember having so much fun being able to compete at these kind of things, because especially before the big race, you get this cool jumpsuit and you get to go on
Nice.
to the fitting room and try everything on. And I just remember being so excited, and I was really into thinking back like fishnet hand like type things. And there's one photo where I like tied the shirt on and I have like the glove, like the hand gloves on, and like my hair is in like this really nice ponytail. And I just had so much fun racing, and it was at the Armory. And I just remember the feeling of being there and how exciting it was to kind of be a part of something and just go home with a really big trophy.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
So do me a favor. Can you start bringing back the fishnet gloves? Can we make that a signature only at
maybe I can. I'd have to buy some new ones. Definitely lost somewhere, but maybe.
yeah, at the champion, like only at like mocks, like when you make it to meet a champs,
Yeah.
that becomes a signature. Like when you're in college, if you get to like when you get to NCAAs, boom, like make that your signature championship thing. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to think that for the Grand Prix in the next few weeks. Maybe I'll have some fishnet gloves on.
That's
There
what
we
I'm
go.
talking about. Let's do it. So what else you got? What are some of your other favorite memories as you keep on walking down
Um,
memory lane?
I would say one that's really bittersweet is the 4x8 national championship my freshman year with Peyton, Jamia, and Sophia. I think that is probably my favorite race of all time. And I think what makes it so special was that we only had 1 year to do it. Peyton was a senior,
Yep.
and she'd also kind of been injured or was recovering
Yep.
from injury from her junior year. So we didn't really run it indoor, and we only really raced it twice at Penn and then at National. So it was a very kind of once in a lifetime kind of experience. And I think a lot of times people go into races being like, you don't want to be the favorite because it's a lot of pressure. And I think
Yeah.
that's true for open events, but there's nothing like going into a relay knowing that you're going to win and that you're not just going to win, but you're going to dominate. And that was just
Awesome.
the feeling. And I remember it had gotten delayed because of the rain, and it was at night and there were lights, and just stepping onto the track and knowing that we were going to win. And after it had been such a tough season with Peyton, and I'd struggled like being able to hit times that I'd hit in 8th grade. And so being able to run 205 after struggling to run 207 for so long again was just the best feeling in the world. And I still can't believe that we ran so fast. Like, and I remember last year, I stayed up to watch our boys for by, and the girls was on before, and I was so nervous that they were going to break our record. It's my favorite one, and it still stands. And hopefully, we'll get a chance to lower it again. But it's just so surreal being on a relay and knowing that it's the only time you're going to get a team like that and get that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that's gotta be such a cool memory too, because like you said, there were tough times, but to cap off your first year of high school with
Yeah.
that type of experience, it just had to be cool, but did it kind of set a standard for you mentally going, this is what I
Sure.
want to try to achieve every year now? Even if you look back and it's like, okay, maybe we don't have the same horses that we had, but
Mhm.
now this is my goal. This is what I want to attain. And my senior year, I want this to be my legacy as well. Is that
Yeah.
something that you're kind of keeping in the back of your mind as you go?
Yeah, I think it was definitely kind of a different level compared to the way we raced the rest of the season. It was very just national level racing, which I think is sometimes hard to achieve just because things don't always work out that way. But I think,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I feel like even last year running at Brooks and at Nationals, it was just kind of a different tone. And I think it's just more fun that way. And it feels very different than a typical meet of champs or even just like indoor nationals. Like it's very different racing at New
Sure.
Balance in that way.
So
Absolutely.
do you ever have to like talk with a coach or talk to your parents, whatever, to decide if you're going to go for something as an individual or as a team, or do you usually have that everything decided with that prior to the season?
Yeah,
You
I would
manage that?
say we, I think we talk about it before. I'm pretty close with McCabe, so sometimes during a study hall or a free period, I'll step in there and we'll spend 20, 30 minutes just kind of going through the whole season and
Yeah.
just looking through what meets we want to hit, maybe what races we want. And I think we always aim for nationals to have some sort of relay, whether that's the DMR or the 4x8 or even just like an SMR, just something to get everyone on the track, I think, and then just seeing how the individuals kind of play out. But yeah, I would say it's a mix of going before season, like preparing for indoor right after Brooks. I kind of talked with him about what we were looking for, at least for the first few races. And then a little bit later into the season, we'll kind of see where we're at, how we've been racing, and maybe we kind of went in with more miles and maybe we want more eights, or we want to try and just set a national record in something just because we can and we have the space for it. So just kind of, I think, definitely an overview of the season towards the beginning, and then we pick and choose a little bit more once it gets going.
Sure, because I mean, you're different than a lot of girls of your caliber, where you have
Yeah.
that top notch team too. That is also
Mhm.
a priority. You know, like it's not just Paige running it; it's Union Catholic running. So you have to
Yeah.
kind of, I guess, kind of encompass all of that as an individual, as well as being the leader of your team. Good stuff, man. It's good.
So, what was that like in XC2? Because, like Dave is saying, like Union Catholic is a really good team outside of
Mhm.
yourself. You guys are super deep. So, what was that like in XC? Because you guys ran as a team a ton of races, right?
Yeah.
That was a lot of races, and then you ran more individually as well.
Mhm.
What was that whole experience like with the
Sure.
season? With you guys obviously running every single race with a target on your back, right? Because
Mhm.
who wouldn't want to be the team that they beat Union Catholic that day, right? Like, so
Yeah.
you guys running together, and then you also balancing your individual, want and need, and especially coming back as the defending XC mock champion. So, like, what was that whole season like this year with all these races that you got on your legs, and all the success that you guys had as well?
Yeah, I think it was definitely kind of a little bit more like that 4x8 with just it was a different tone compared to last year and the year prior because we were just so much better. And I mean, we got a lot of great freshmen. Harper and Eden were kind of the dynamic duo. Just Harper really stepped up when Sophia kind of had to step out, and Eden was kind of always there to fill in the gap. So I'm really proud of what they were able to accomplish this season, and they just brought so much energy. Harper is probably one of the funniest people I've ever met, and she's not even trying to be funny. Like she's just that's the way she is. And Eden is just she's incredible, and she balances Ella so well. It's like they work so well together. So having the two of them, I think, made us like a younger team. I think it helped kind of balance it out as we are getting a little bit older, with Sophia, Kaylee, and I being juniors and Ella being a senior. So I think it kind of helped set us up for great seasons to come. And then I think, yeah, just each race, everybody kept stepping up and we kept getting people there when we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. When Sophia had to go out, it was really hard because she's an incredible part of the team and she just means a lot. And she's never really had a full cross season just because of injury. So being able to have them was just amazing, knowing that we're not at full strength for a majority of the season, but we're still able to be so amazing and still be able to be in the top rankings. I think was just a nice feeling to know that we had more coming. And then I think we all just kind of really worked together throughout the races and pushing each other and really going in with the goal of getting on the podium, because I think we've always wanted that but never been able to actually execute. So it was just very different this year to actually go to NXN and have a reason to be at the ending ceremony, because there's so many people there who are just there to watch people get up on stage. Sure. And we'd never known what it was like to actually be up there. So it was really nice to kind of look back at everyone and hold the little Nike Headless Angel trophies and take a picture with everyone. It was something we never experienced and it felt very different afterwards. So I'm really impressed with everyone and their ability to actually get us there this year, because I'm still can't believe we actually did that. It's crazy because it is such a hard race.
See, I love that whole response because it was we, and I know Alex asked you about individual versus team, but you went right for the team. So what is it like? Because like you mentioned earlier how when you were a freshman, you had Peyton them. What is it like making that transition as now you were one of the older athletes and it's now your job to kind of guide these younger freshmen? Because you guys get great talent coming in every year. So I'm sure that they all look up to who's there now, just like you probably looked up to what Sydney did from years past and things like that. So what's it like transitioning now to being the older person who kind of has to guide everyone?
Yeah, I think I prefer being the older person. I like to be welcoming and have everyone have a lot of fun. I think it's nice when they like you because obviously they have their own friends and everything and they want to, there were a lot of freshmen this year, so they have their own kind of little clique, but it's nice to kind of be with them. And I remember when we went to Woodbridge the day before, Ella, the freshman, and I walked to the zoo. And it was, I think, a 40-minute walk, 40 to an hour. We went to the Santa Ana Zoo and we saw a bunch of animals, took a photo in a Jeep, got some lunch, and took an Uber back. And it was just really nice to be with them and kind of have that experience, because I think not all teams are like that. Regardless of how deep they are, they don't always have that relationship. And I think that's the most important part of being able to race well, to know that you're running with girls who support you and to be able to have that experience with them and say, we walked an hour to the zoo, I think is something that's really fun.
So we got Coach Torchia coming in with a comment. Coach is always awesome with these. He says, Paige is one of the most versatile runners in the country. Total stud from XC all the way down to the 400. And I'm sure she could crush a 200 or even a 100.
Absolutely.
So what do you think, Paige? Are we watching you go against Siani in the 200? Are you going to go challenge her?
No, maybe a 4x4. I think I do love running the 4x4, and I think that sprints are definitely really fun. And I know, like, I remember Taylor Cox was always like, oh, like the 400's so long. And for me, it was like, this is so short. And this is just like sprinting the whole time, and it was very low key. But I think honestly last year was a lot more 4x4s than I was expecting. After Millrose, when I split the 54, and it was kind of just like, I knew I could sprint, but I was like, whoa, like I can sprint like the sprinters can. So I think it's definitely a different experience, and it's equally as fun. But I could never wait in so many heats for a 200 or 100, sometimes even for the mile, waiting 4 heats is like, come on.
Get nervous.
I'm sorry, Paige. When you get to Boston, when you're in college, if you're running at BU and you're running a 15 or something like that, get ready for 20-something heats. It really is. Like, it is a ridiculous experience.
But they're all fast. They're all
Well, thing is,
that's true.
Your only saving grace is that you are going to be one of the fastest there. So they run BU smart. They reward people for being fast. The fastest go first and then the
Yeah.
slowest. So me, I'm looking going, okay, there's 20 heats. I'm definitely going to be in 18. Where you're going to be like, okay, I'm in heat 1, 2, or 3. I'm one of the fastest here with all the pros and studs. So I'm going to be up there in one of the top heats. So you won't have to wait as long. But after that, watching everyone else go, it's insane the number of
Yeah.
milers and 1500-meter runners at these big BU meets and stuff like that. So
So
it's awesome.
what was it like? So you run Nike Nationals, and then you come back for Brooks. What was that like? Because that
Oh
was
yeah.
kind of you just kind of by yourself, right? Like that was just kind of you as an individual running there. So what was that like to finish off your season at Brooks after running Nike Nationals? Because I thought you came back and ran a great race at Brooks.
Yeah.
I thought
Yes.
you,
And I
you
think
really
like
really
in
ended well.
general, cross is harder for me just because the mental difference is it's so much longer. Just always like the mile or the 8 or even 4x4, and it takes a lot more motivation. It's a very different kind of motivation. I think for track, it's very intrinsic. I remember even while I was training for Brooks, Jalen Williams actually let me use her high school track, and
Nice.
it was so warm, and it felt like June back home, and I was like, this is what track feels like. So that's very like intrinsically motivating, and I feel like cross is very much more of a team motivation, and knowing that I'm not doing it for myself, but the 6 other girls who are racing. So it was definitely different because it was something that I'd chosen to do for myself, and chosen to extend my season. Well, I didn't have to, but I'm really happy that I did because it was unlike anything I'd ever been at. And I think Brooks does so well with these kind of events. And Brooks' PR for track was amazing. So it definitely kind of lived up to that standard. And I think it's definitely a better race or a better meet for individual athletes than compared to NXN, just because I feel like NXN is very much a team
Sure.
event. And so I think it was a great experience to be an individual, and I had so much fun racing. And I think overall it was a very good race for myself. I think I'd aimed for top 15. So 13 was exactly what I was
Amazing.
aiming for. And I'm so proud of all the other Northeast girls who placed in the top 10, and so proud of Blair Bartlett this season. She's amazing. And I was cheering for her as I was running. So it was a great experience. And I think if I get invited back next year, then I will definitely say yes. So yeah, it was definitely very different from NXN, but in a good way.
So you mentioned Blair. I was
Dave.
like, what's it like running at a time now when this is probably the 3 greatest XC runners maybe that we've ever had, and you guys are all here
And
at the same time.
underclassmen too. You're
Right,
not
you guys are all back
seniors.
next year. I mean, obviously
junior-
Blair can't compete at
Yeah.
states, but we obviously all know who she is. What is it like just being a part of? I mean, even though they're not on your team and they're opponents. I was at Meet of Champs. That was the greatest like female race that I've ever seen. It was absolutely unbelievable. So, what is it like? Being
Yeah,
a part?
I think probably like the best race of my season.
Unbelievable.
And listen, from the outside looking in, Paige, just real quick, seeing week by week who was going to like reset the bar, whether it was you running, okay, then Leah, then you again, then Blair, like the times just kept going down, down. And it was just so much fun to see you 3 competing, even when you weren't competing against each other. It was awesome to watch because this was, and we've said this before, this was one of the rare years where it was all the women. You guys were the showcase. There were some great male runners, but typically you had like, okay, there's going to be a big battle for the guys. This is the focus for the women. Who's going to do what? This year, no disrespect to the men, it was all you and Leah. Like, that's all we cared about. Who was going to go and you guys lived up to the hype and then some. Like, it was astounding. So go ahead and continue. Like, yeah, what was it like going through that in XC? Because it was awesome for us to watch.
Yeah, I think the MOC season for crosses meant a lot of difference to me. And I think there was probably the best. I think freshman year, I really wanted to win, and I got out too hard, and I got second, and it was a really big blow, and I took it really hard. And
what's funny, real quick to that,
As a freshman, take it second.
as a freshman taking second, I remember us being here talking about it, going,
Because we had Emma on the
Paige-
show.
we had Emma on the show. Yeah,
Yeah.
Paige was incredible. She took second. Like, we were singing your praises and hear you going like, yeah, that was a setback. It's like, what? What do you mean? You lost to Emma
I took
Kowalski.
it
That's okay. It's
really
Emma.
hard. And I remember just really beating myself down about it because it wasn't that it was a bad race. Like, the time was fine and the place was fine. It just wasn't executed properly. And I think
Yes.
had I executed it to the best of my ability, like this time, then I probably would have been happier with it, because I had to walk away and said I did everything possible to win, and I couldn't do that. And so I just was really disappointed in myself. And then I guess it was like a week, and then I won NXR. And so it was kind of that downhill to uphill. And I remember kind of going into the track season, and it was kind of, am I going to run the 8 or the mile at MOCs? And I was like, no, I'm going to run the mile because I have to beat her. And
Sure.
I have to do this for myself. And I did get to do that. And then it was kind of, for my sophomore year, I have to win MOCs because this is what I wanted. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself. And it wasn't like, it was mine, and I fell, and the time wasn't pretty, and it wasn't anything spectacular, but it was the win, and that was what I wanted.
A win's
And
a win.
so that
real
was
quick, Paige,
enough.
what was it like learning kind of how to race in these big moments, right? Because coming in
Yeah.
with all the talent, all the speed, everything is one thing. But once you get into it and you're against these other incredibly high level individuals, what have you learned about learning how to run that race you're in, right? Because like you said, the time wasn't what you wanted, but the result was, right? So what has there been a mental challenge in, I know I can run this race, but this is the race that I have to run to win? Have you kind of learned as you've gone how to do that through these experiences?
Yeah, I would say both in cross and track that I've learned that. I would say in cross, especially at MOC, I've been going out really hard just because the first hill, I think, is the worst part. I don't think the bowl
Yeah.
is at
Agreed.
all.
No,
Agreed.
I agree with
And
you.
I swear we were walking up the hill during MOCs. I was flabbergasted. I felt like I was looking around like
Well,
we're walking.
yeah, because
And so it was kind of that perspective change of pulling back 50 seconds kind of up that first hill, and to be able to run 17:17 because I was killing my legs too early. So it was kind of in that moment learning that to run the race that I wanted to run and to kind of get under 17:20, I had to change what I was doing.
Sure, because everyone thought going in, because you and Leah both usually like to go out hard. So
Yeah.
I was there, so it was kind of interesting, like Malmar, to see other people there, kind of, it was,
Yeah.
and then you guys kind of went and took off. But like, talk about the race, because like she was kind of leading, like kind of pulling you along, and then you kind of go ahead and she goes back, because I think most people thought going in, if it's even coming out of the woods, Paige is probably going to win because of your track
Yeah.
now. So just take us down what the whole thing was like. It was just an absolutely unbelievable race and finish, and you guys were just, I don't think there was more than a second of separation at like any point.
Yeah. So my whole game plan was really just to let her pace the whole thing, because I think in bigger races like that, that's just how I like to race, because it's kind of up to them. It's not really up to me at that point. So I, like, even within the first 100 meters, I was like, I got to pull back and just let her go, because she'll pace the front of it better than I will, just because she doesn't necessarily have the speed to go out. So I won't end up blitzing myself too early. And then from there, it was kind of just like stay on her. And I was watching the glitter in her hair because she had like really nice. I was kind of just like watching that the whole time. And at the end, I knew going into the final like little hill and then out that my legs were gone and that I was gonna try and hang on and push, but I didn't have anything left. And I think there was a moment at 2 Mile when she kind of had this like cough that she got, and I decided to like let her stay in front. And I think looking back, I probably would have gone then just to mentally probably put her away if I wanted to. I think that's the only thing I would probably change, to just get some more separation, I think, going into the end, because I felt really good then and it hadn't hit me yet. But yeah, I was just gone at the end. So I think I would have been needed to have some more of a gap to take the win this time. But
And and it's like one of those things, like in the end, yeah, you can go back and pick apart little minor things in your race,
yeah,
but man, you ran an incredible race. You left it all on the course. And it's one of those
yeah,
things where
Absolutely.
you just tip your cap and you look at each other and go, we'll see each other again. Right. We're both
yeah,
young. We're going to see each other again and let's put on a show again, because I think that's one of the things. And it's like, and I got to say, like for a high schooler, you are handling this whole thing with a lot of grace, because it's not often we ask someone to talk about the race they didn't win, right? Like that's not a
yeah,
typically something, but it was just such an amazing moment for I
yeah,
think New Jersey XC that it was just so cool to see. So um as
Yeah,
we head in to this track season,
that's what I was gonna say.
are
Cross country's
you
done with now. Let's
champing
focus
at
on
the bit
track.
to get going? Because now you're coming back as the outdoor defending New Balance Nationals mile champion, right? So what are you thinking in terms of indoors? The goal of indoor now, I want to go get a mile national championship indoor as well. Like, what are we looking at? What's our accomplishments goals for indoor?
Well, I would say last year I almost ran the mile, but unfortunately, like leading up into nationals, I'd gotten sick for 2 weeks. I
Mm.
had raced at the circuit and I got flu B. And then the
Oof.
following week for groups, I was at the bubble and I think I got COVID from there as
I'm
the
going to the
bubble
bubble.
Telling
closed.
you,
Damn bubble.
it's that bubble cough, man.
So I was
It's that bubble
sick
cough.
for
I
like
got
two
it
to three
now.
weeks. So I planned on running the 8 and the mile at nationals and the DMR, and I'd gone back and forth at whether to run the mile and just decided it wasn't worth it because it just wasn't worth it. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know necessarily if I'll run the mile, but I think I will definitely be running the 8 because I've never had a good 8, I would say, indoors. Um, I think last year was okay. I ran like 207 and the place was fine. But years prior, I'd always just had a really bad race. So I
Mhm.
think regardless of place, this year I would just really like to walk away feeling really good about it and to say I had a great. So I think definitely the 8. And I think we'll see if we run a 4x8 or a DMR, but definitely a relay. And I think a mile is definitely in the mix somewhere. So, but definitely the 800.
So after such a long XC season, like, do you just kind of like guys just kind of take like a little chill now and just kind of focus on what is that you want to do? Like, I know like some kids we don't see them race until mid-January or whatnot. So like because you guys had
Yeah.
a very long and very stressful and like I mean every race was mattered. So like you guys need time for that. So is it just to kind of chill now and train and just kind of get everything back up and with the focus more on nationals because you guys can train
Yeah.
through counties
Absolutely.
and
I mean,
states and things like that. Like it's probably just
I'm more
more
personally, I would love to race right now, and I'm kind of itching to race one, but there isn't really a place to get one in. So I think I'm going to open at the VA showcase. But so I took 4 days off. I didn't do anything. And then I cross trained and then I ran and then I trained for a full week. So this is my first week back at school and practicing. So I spent last week at home and at the gym practicing, but I am really excited to race. And I think especially because I love track so much, I am more excited to kind of
Sure.
get into it than I would be, I think, if I just felt like, oh, it was a really long season, like I need a break, but I'm really excited to get back on the track. So I don't think I need too much of a break myself, but I think we will skip over a few races, like counties and just smaller things, just because they're not really worth it, or treat them more, I guess, like in a workout sense. I think that's what some people are doing this weekend at the Jersey City Armory. I think some people will treat it more like a workout and get some
Yeah.
reps after they race. So we definitely do approach some races like that. But I think, especially with me being with New Balance now, there's a little bit more kind of permanent races that I'll have. So the Grand Prix, and I'll do the circuit. So there are definitely some bigger races that are kind of planned in there, sprinkled in, and that will touch outside of groups and MOCs and then nationals.
You know, it's exciting too because, like you mentioned, the 800. I'm looking at the Meet of Champs results from last year in the 8, and God, you're running a smart race because you want to run fast.
Yeah.
The only individual that's not coming back
In New
from the
Jersey,
top
yeah.
5 is Clemmy Lilly.
Yeah.
Natalie should be back. Natalie Dumas, Reagan Moore, Reese Reynolds Malone, and all that ran 207 or faster. Obviously, with
Mhm.
Natalie running a 202, being a freak of nature with that, like incredible what
Yeah.
Natalie was able to accomplish at States and Nats. But
Mhm.
that's exciting seeing that you want to take that challenge because if you want to run fast,
I love
Yeah.
that.
there you
I
go,
love it.
right? That's the group that is going to push you. So that's
Yeah.
I'm
I
excited
was
to
gonna
see
ask
that.
you, like, I mean, like, what is it like knowing that your own state can provide so much talent and just so much
Yeah.
competition,
I
just
mean,
running
I
in your
think
meets
Jersey gets a
in
lot of
your own state?
hate or like trash talk. Like, I don't know, have you seen Coach T? He says that New Jersey's like the belly button of track and field and cross country. And he posted a
We
video
got to have
yesterday.
Coach T on because Coach T and his
Yeah,
Georgia,
he posted a
Florida,
video
Texas, Platt,
yesterday
California.
about how
Yeah, come
like
on.
New Jersey ran a bad cross season again, and he always skips over Union Catholic and says that, and CBA saying that we recruit and we don't. And it's just like not invalidating because obviously what he say doesn't matter, but it's just I don't understand why Jersey is getting flamed because we do have so much talent. And I think especially on the girls' side, and Blair, I think, has really come out for cross and kind of is kind of like in your face, like she's not from Union Catholic or CBA, and she got second, and she's astounding. Like she's mind blowing. I'm so impressed by her.
You know,
And
the question is though, like when you look at the Nationals results, who do you count then? Right? Because how many of those individuals are public school kids that
yeah,
are running like a lot of it is your private school or your prep schools and that's
Sure.
the nature of the beast when you get to that high
yeah.
level.
And
Public school
unfortunately,
kids do get in
that's
there, but
just the way that it is.
it's what
And
it
so
is.
I think when he makes those videos, it's unfair to count Union Catholic out because he would see a lot of talent here. But
Talk your
I
mess,
think
Paige.
it's nice
Talk
to
your
see
mess.
Jersey have a lot of talent. And even I remember Sophia and I went up to him after Remsen Fairhaven won the SMR and Clemmy split like 203 and Reese ran like incredibly fast for the 4 leg. And he was like, well, the SMR is not a real event, so it doesn't matter. And I don't understand. But I think that Jersey has a lot of talent, whether it's Natalie Dumas or
It's just hate.
it's Blair Bartlett or it's UC or CBA or whoever it is. I think that he shouldn't count us out.
Jersey's loaded. I mean, we have distance, we got sprints. I mean, it's loaded. Throws. It's one of the best states for track
Yes.
every single year. So
I mean,
I don't know
listen,
what that guy's
people
talking
are allowed
about,
to have
but
their opinions, and it is what it is, right? You just got to go and
it's just clickbait.
Like,
You
what
just
about
gotta do it.
Montana? Like, you never hear about Montana. Why
Don't
Jersey?
mean the Montana,
Right.
Don't me mean the Montana. They're
What about
there's like
Montana?
16
Yeah.
people in Montana. Be nice to them, okay? So I want to get into speaking of colleges. You don't have to get into any specifics as to what colleges you're looking at, who you're talking to, but I always like to
Mhm.
try and find out, like, first and foremost, what are you looking for in a
Process.
school itself? Not necessarily a program, but just in a school. Is there anything specific that you were looking for in terms of major, size, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm pretty flexible, I think, in terms of location, in terms of size, just because when I was younger, I went to a private Catholic school,
Mhm.
and so that was pretty small. And then I moved and I went to a big public school, and there were like 700 kids in my grade. So,
That's
and then I
big.
went back to private Catholic school. So I'm not pretty tied to either one. I think it could be really big, small, or medium, which I think is great because it opens up a lot of options. And location wise, I'm not pretty tied to anything. I'd be fine leaving home. I think I'm a pretty independent person. And I think just most importantly, academics is really important to me. I'm taking 6 APs this year.
Wow.
So school is really important to me, and I don't know exactly what I would want to major in, but just kind of to have a school with a great academic record, I think is really important.
So Dave, you've said it before.
Sure.
What should she major in college? Track.
Running fast.
Go major in running fast. But no, I think those are all great standards to have. Obviously, you want
Get that education.
you want
That's
you know you want good
paramount.
academic success, obviously, and there are I think it's expanded so much more with how many institutions have stepped up their game in terms
Mhm.
of academics and things like that. So it's become more broad than ever. And I can't imagine that junior year right now, you are probably bombarded at the moment with people trying to contact you, especially with your success and stuff. So, um, is it a little overwhelming at times in terms of coaches trying to get in contact with you or at races trying to talk to you? And who do you lean on? Do you lean on Coach McCabe, who has experience with something like this? How much of a factor do your parents play? Other people like that?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely hard sometimes because I know there's schools that I'm not going to go to, and I feel really bad to say no, but I also don't want to end up in the position where I'm talking to 30 schools and I can only choose one. So that means 29 have to get let down. So I think there's definitely schools where I know they're not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like a shutdown. And then there's schools where I don't know, but I really like the coach. And I think that if like that's enough for me to continue talking because you never know what can happen. And I think having good chemistry with the coach is really important. So
Yes.
it may not be exactly what I'm looking for, but I'm willing to have a conversation with you.
I'll tell you this, the best thing you can do for a coach is to let them know that you're not interested so that they're
Yeah.
not continuing to put resources into you. They're not continuing to have, make that phone call and that could be going to another athlete. So
Yeah.
it's one of the better things you can do. And again, it shows some maturity. It shows some poise. It shows that when you do see that coach at a meet, there'll be no animosity, right? Because it was, in the end, it's a business and
Yeah.
they are trying to sell themselves to you as much as you're trying to sell them yourself to them. Um, so I think that's fantastic. So in terms of a program now, what are you looking for in a program? And you talked about the chemistry with the coach.
Sure.
Obviously, that's important. What else are you looking for in terms of a program where your future is going to be, really?
Um, yeah,
Um,
I would say the two most important things are definitely, like I said, coach.
mm,
I've known McCabe since forever, and I know him really well. So just to be able to have a relationship somewhat like that, I think is really important. Just because I do know him so well, and like I text him happy birthday and things like that. And we have lockers that they give us for our backpacks, and I use his classroom. So to be able to have a
nice.
relationship anywhere on that level, I think is really important. And then I think just team is really important because it's who you're spending your time with. And I think your teammates will either be energy givers or energy takers.
Yep.
And it's really harmful when you have energy takers just because it is so draining and you don't realize how much it affects your performance when you're trying to not step on people's toes and to try and act a certain way around certain people. And I think that we need to do that 24/7 around people who are supposed to be your teammates or friends or whatever, then it can make it really hard to have a great experience and just have fun with running. So I think to be able to go onto a team and know that it's not going to be toxic and that it's going to be an environment that fosters great running, I think is really important.
Agreed.
So what is, and you can pass on this if you want. I'm going to ask this question. If you want to not give an answer, you're more than welcome to. But what's your opinion on how rampant it is with transferring going on in the college level right now? Where before you used to pick a school and it was
Mhm.
really a difficult choice for you to transfer because there was a penalty that went with it
Yeah.
with the NCAA.
Sure.
Now it's I'm out, I'm competing in a few weeks. So, what is your opinion on how easy it's been for some of these collegiate athletes to just they commit to a school, they go to another. They commit to that school, they go to another. Like, what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have too strong an opinion. I guess it depends on why they're
Yeah,
transferring. I
agreed.
think if the coach wasn't really a fit and you're really clashing, or you just really weren't seeing results and it wasn't seeming like it was going to end in a positive route, or where you were staying had a lot of coaching change, staff changes, and it
That's
just
right.
wasn't very consistent, then I think that's not really an issue. But I think if you're kind of just changing to change and you're not really kind of taking the time to build a relationship and kind of solidify your place somewhere and kind of struggle a little bit so that you can get to a comfortable place. And I think that's a little bit different. But yeah, I think it depends a little bit on the circumstance.
I also think too, like there's so many coaches who change schools every single year that you might have
Yeah.
got
Yes.
recruited by a coach, and then all of a sudden that coach isn't there.
Mhm.
So why should you be obligated to stay at that school
Yeah.
when you didn't go there? You went there for that certain coach. So I think there's just
Absolutely.
so many factors leading. I mean, NCAA now is kind of in this weird like Wild Wild West world
Yeah.
now. With everything on it. So we have a question here, and I'm just curious about your input. From at Running NJ, what does an NIL deal look like at the high school level? Because I'm also curious too.
Yeah. So I think it's different for different brands. I know at least for Clemmy, when she was with Brooks, that she had to do a lot of posts. But for New Balance, it's pretty laid back. So there is like a monetary component, and then there are a few requirements that I have. So number one, I have to wear New Balance all the time. So when I'm training, I'm in New Balance. I don't own Nike Pros anymore, and I can wear other apparel at other events. So at Brooks, obviously I wore the Brooks kit, and at NXN I wear the NXN kit. But I wore like for I think I don't know if they give it for Brooks, at least for NXN, like they give Nike spikes. I wore my New Balance ones, and just in general, I'm wearing New Balance most of the time, and I get a lot of shipment, so there's not really a need to buy other clothes.
That's cool.
And then there are a few other requirements. There's 3 meets that I have to compete at throughout the year, and that's the Grand Prix, indoor nationals, and outdoor nationals. And if I can't compete, if I'm injured or for whatever reason, then I can still come to the meet and they would still love to have me there. So those are kind of my only requirements. And I think it's nice because I think some brands can be stricter, and I don't truly know, but I know at least for New Balance that it's pretty laid back and it's really reasonable for a high school level.
I think that's smart that they're not putting so many demands because you shouldn't do that to a high
Yeah.
schooler.
Right.
I think that is unfair to them, especially because in
Team
college, at
aspect
least you
too.
get to pick your schedule, you get to pick your classes,
Yeah.
you can figure things out. High school, you're stuck being there, right? So it's like
Mhm.
you can't go and I need to leave and I need to schedule a class around this because I know I have these things. Like,
Yeah.
no, you
Right.
got to be there all day and you have practice and
Also,
school.
Paige has a huge team aspect too. So like
Yes,
like
it's very different.
it's not just you going these national meets, like you have your whole
Mhm.
team going too. So, it's cool that they're all right, yeah, like you guys made it to a NXN, go. Like even though
Yeah.
you're run for New Balance, they were like, no, like this is your team. This is the
They're
only league that
reasonable.
has this
Yeah.
option.
And at least like
Go for
for
it.
us, it's really nice because this school is also sponsored by New Balance. So we
Helpful.
also get a bunch of shipments of just shoes in general for everyone. Like we just got the new colorway of the spikes, and they just sent over the new sprint spikes to try for some of the
Yeah.
sprinters. And we get like the fun kits at national because I know some teams just wear like their typical outfit, and we kind of go all out with it. So it's really
Which
fun.
is awesome.
I mean, listen, it also helps that the best alum there ever, Sid, is also sponsored by New Balance.
Yeah.
You know,
And I do want to say to New Balance, make sure they notice Paige is wearing a New Balance shirt. She's doing her part, New
Yes.
Balance. Do not get mad at her, okay? She's doing her job. But so what was that like being approached by New Balance to become one
Yeah.
of their athletes? Because
So
I know like everyone's probably hearing about the NIL, but to actually participate in it
mhm.
has to be surreal
Yeah,
at
it's
some
cool.
point.
Yeah, I think getting an NIL was definitely a goal for my season last year, and I think New Balance is probably who I wanted it the most with, just because I think they're kind of like family. Like I've been racing nationals since seventh grade, and it was just also most compatible because I think if I'd like gone with Nike, for example, like that would mean having to go to
Oregon.
Nike nationals, and I were racing, especially indoor at the New Balance track. I think it's amazing. No
Oh
offense to the
yeah.
Armory, but I think it's definitely just, I think it feels just a lot more special just because it is kind of a different track that you don't race on all the time.
Not to be mean
And
to
then
the
having to
Armory,
go to
they're
Oregon while my team was at Penn,
the
I think
Armory
would
I
be
think is
really
the third
hard.
nicest track in the Northeast right now. I'm sorry, Armory.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be mean to you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It could be fourth. You got Staten Island. You
Oh, it's true. Ocean Breeze. Yeah, it might be fourth. Ooh,
got
maybe.
Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah, the two Bostons and Ocean Breeze. Maybe not. Armory, step your game up. What are
But
we
I
doing?
think it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely really nice being able to kind of do all of that. So going into the season, that was kind of the goal. And I think my indoor season had been fine. Like it was good, but I wasn't anything crazy. But the day before Acadia, Chris Joss called me, and I'd kind of like been in contact with her just from running like the indoor and through running like the circuit. And I thought she was calling about just some race. And it was kind of them offering to see like if I wanted to sign with them. And I remember just being so
That's
shell
cool.
shocked that like
That's so cool.
I was getting, and I didn't even think I'd done enough yet to even be approached for it. I remember thinking like, oh, like there's so much I have to do to be able to kind of get this. And so for like that to happen, I think was really cool. But I had to keep it a secret from everyone.
Sure.
And some of my friends had absolutely no idea, and they were like shell shocked. And then I had people who were asking a lot of questions and are really inquisitive. And it was like fun, kind of like having to lie and be like, oh, like I don't know, like what I would do, like if I had one while I have one. So it was definitely nice, but I think
Sure.
it's different for everyone. And I was
Yeah.
fortunate enough, I think, especially after Brooks, to kind of get a lot of offers, even though I'd already kind of signed with New Balance. So I think it's kind of just knowing in your heart what you want. And I really wanted New Balance for myself. That was kind of the big goal. So even though I was really flattered and appreciated the interest from other brands, I knew what I wanted and I'd already achieved that.
Well, believe me, as happy as you are to represent New Balance is also ecstatic to have you, because to be able to have you as one of the representatives is friggin' awesome, and
So
love everything that you do over there.
really, really quick. What was it like as a sophomore winning the national championship?
Yeah,
Like, that
that's
just has
cool.
to be a cool feeling, man.
Yeah, I think the end of my season was definitely, it was, I said earlier, kind of giving the 4x8 of just, it was a very different tone, different level. And I think my motto for the season was anything can happen. You kind of just have to give yourself a chance. And I think I was big in the 8 just because of the way I raced, and then in the mile just because Sadie was in it.
Yeah.
And I talked with my coach about racing it, and she'd been injured, so she wasn't at the top of her game. So I did have a chance to maybe win, and I really wanted to take a crack at it. And it was kind of just running a really smart race and pacing it properly. And I think after the 8, I knew I had the ability to kind of just sit and wait and kind of be there when moves were made and just kind of see what happened when it came down to it. And it ended up working in my favor. But I mean, it was definitely a very surreal feeling being on the track and being there and kind of such a slap and kind of pushing to see if she would go. And the responses that were made and kind of the final surge on the backstretch to see if it would be enough. So kind of running into that line, it was just, I think, a great way to cap off the season.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll say this. I think a 4:33 would have probably been good enough. Maybe even if Sadie was healthy, because man, a 4:33. Holy crap. That's fantastic. So that I'm excited to see the rest of what you accomplish and to think that we have another 5 seasons of watching you compete in high school is so much fun from someone who sits there in a chair and talks into a microphone on a camera about the amazing things that athletes do. So, Paige, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
no problem. I definitely enjoyed my time.
So, once again, she's Paige Sheppard. She is a junior over at Union Catholic in New Jersey. We just talked about her mile championship over at New Balance last year. A bunch of success over in Jersey, Meet of Champions champion in multiple events, cross country, NIL New Balance athlete. And I think that's just the start of her accolades. I think that
I don't know that just like a very astute person, like it's I don't know, this has been an absolute pleasure because there's
Thank you.
confidence, but there's some humility to it. It just seems like you're on the right track to keep getting better and better, not only physically but emotionally. You just seem like you're kind of in a very good place. So that's good.
So my request is in a few years down the road, when you're in college and you win your first collegiate national championship, I want to make sure that we are on that list of podcasts that you are going to go on. We need to
Yes.
re-up. Awesome. So we appreciate Paige coming on.
Yes.
And for everyone else that watched, commented, Coach Torchia, Running NJ, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We will be back next week. Hopefully I will have a voice. Dave will be feeling better and we'll have another good time. So wherever you watch from, whether it's YouTube, Kick, Twitch, Facebook, X, thank you. Make sure you click the follow, subscribe button, everything, and go follow us on social media at Talking in Ovals. So everybody, we appreciate you all for hanging out. Thank you so much, everyone. So long, y'all.